Don't break it. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Happy day after Christmas. We hope you
It's
had.
Boxing Day.
It's Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day
Happy Boxing Day.
for all our Canadians
Yes.
from Canada.
Yes. We're doing a Boxing Day sale thanks to Nicole. So,
Well,
anyways.
she's Canadian.
Yes.
From Canada.
Oh no, it says our free patterns and figures guide. We need you all to RSVP for boot camp because boot camp starts in less than a week.
On the 1st.
On the 1st. I'm doing a goal setting webinar. We have lots of epic things coming up for boot camp. You don't want to miss it because it's going to be epic. So first things first, we all hope that you had a wonderful Christmas. What did we do for Christmas?
We took Levi to the beach.
And we went to the barn in the morning.
Oh, yeah. I taught a couple lessons. You rode some horses, and that was our day.
Yes. I feel like as horse people, it's always, horses are such a part of your life. You don't really get to take the day off.
Well, the horse doesn't know it's Christmas.
Right.
And nobody was at the barn. It was lovely.
It was beautiful. Yes. It was really nice. I had a really nice ride on Kensington. He's doing really well. So it's very exciting. Herman helped me with him the other day.
We didn't have any of the construction work going on across the street. They're repairing from the fires. And there's lots of work and trash and trucks and saws. And some of the horses get upset up at the upper arena that's close to all the noise. But on Christmas Day, there was nothing.
Yes, it was very quiet. And we made some yummy food. We came home and we made eggs and potatoes for breakfast. And then I made my white bean and kale soup for dinner, which was very nice,
good.
Delicious. We're going to have leftovers tonight. Let us know if you got any good Christmas gifts. We are not big gifters in this
We have
family.
given each other the gift of not having to give a gift.
Yes. So we just don't give a ton of presents. Although Herman bought himself a new office chair. So
that's because Nicole needs it.
Yes. So he won't be able to complain anymore about how uncomfortable the office chair is.
This is a little better than the kitchen table chair.
Yes. Okay, but tonight.
And yes, whoever Just Jump It is, we do love going to the barn in the morning. We are morning people.
Tonight's topic, as we're getting ready for boot camp coming, is about reflecting on 2024. So if you're watching here live, let me know in the chat one thing that you've accomplished in 2024, one thing that you've overcome in 2024. And it's always really important that you celebrate your improvements and that you celebrate your progress, like the little wins that you've had. Even if you don't achieve your goals, it's actually shown to increase oxytocin in your brain, which is like a feel-good hormone. That if you, for example, let's say you're trying to eat healthy and you eat healthy all week and then you have a bad weekend. If you celebrate the fact oh, I ate healthy all week, then you end up doing better long-term than if you beat yourself up for eating cake on the weekend.
Or this whole week as we've been getting more sugar baskets of sugar.
We've been giving away all of our chocolate sugar. But it's the same thing in your riding, is to celebrate the good moment, even in a ride, to reflect on and celebrate the good moments in your ride rather than focusing on the one moment where your horse spooked or your horse threw its head up or your trainer yelled at you.
I might have been enthusiastic.
So let's see. Hannah rehabbed bilateral tendon injuries and got our bronze with distinction. That is very impressive. What else? Natalie has a better position and seat, which so helped with my riding. That's awesome. Let's see. What are my achievements? It's been kind of a rough year for me, but Kensington's gotten a lot better. I'm very happy with that. He's gotten so much stronger, and he did 12 1-tempies the other day, which is the most he's ever done. And
was that when I was watching you?
Yeah.
Because he looked straight.
Yeah. Kensington is very stiff and wiggly at the same time. He's
stiff in the ribs, so he fishtails.
Yeah. He doesn't want to engage, so he just swings his hind end around behind him, and it's hard to feel it, which is why I have Herman watch me and tell me where to put his body because he's all over the place. So definitely Kensington's gotten a lot better. My other horse, Luigi, I sold, which is, I think it's like good and bad as a
Bittersweet.
professional. Bittersweet. Like as a professional, sometimes you have to make those hard decisions. You can't keep all of your horses. And so sometimes you have to sell one so that you can get another one that has talent and then bring them up the levels. So that was one thing. We're both looking forward to 2025 because hopefully we're both getting new horses in the new year, which is very exciting. Once they get here, we'll feel a lot better
once they're here,
tell you more. So anyways,
it's in the dream state right now.
Between now and January 1st, boot camp I encourage you to take some time to reflect on your last year and reflect on what went well, what went badly, what challenges you overcame, because that's definitely something that I've noticed with horses is we have these goals and we have these dreams, and then something always happens, like always. And like your horse gets hurt, you get hurt, and you have to pivot and you have to change. And that's always hard, but important.
I'm stuck on the fear question.
Okay, what's the fear question? Ask it.
Natalie said, no, it left. All right, it's gone now.
It probably was up farther.
Trey Parker.
Do you ever get scared when you ride? I want to get over that.
And you're never scared in the moment. You're only scared about the future that you're telling yourself could arrive.
Okay.
Right? Because right now in the moment, you're still on your horse. And then if you were to get tossed and all that adrenaline's pumping, you're not going and so really it's the stories I tell myself. And I always tell myself, especially when I get on a 4-year-old, yeah, I could come off, but that'll be tomorrow, not today. And if I'm lying to myself, at least I feel better. And that's really the name of the game. And then, there's the things you control, which is your breathing and what you do with your body. And then there's setting up the situation so that you don't put your horse in harm's way. You don't create a situation where your horse is going to spook and then you're going to grab. A lot of my confidence comes because I've had a lot of people tell me what to do in that moment. Shoulders back, give the reins, sit down, right? And so that training takes over and supplants the instinct. And so I don't really worry about it too much because I'm going to do the right thing. If I do the right thing, the right thing's going to happen. The problem comes when I grab with the reins, lean forward, come out of position, try and stop this thing instead of riding through it. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, I think that was good. I like that. It's a good perspective on fear, because if you just think about your fear, then you're paralyzed by it. But it is important to get education, right? And education, consistency, experience, all of that helps you to get over your fear. The more that you do it, the more that you know what to do. That's really important to get over your fear. And taking baby steps. I think not overexposing yourself, but just doing a little bit every day.
Just like we do with the horses. We don't overface them over jumps. That's what they call it. Overface them, and then they're afraid to jump. So, you've got to get the right horse that's appropriate to your skill level. And, nobody learns how to drive in a Ferrari, right? You need that Toyota Corolla to start with. And as your skills develop, then you can ride bigger, stronger, faster.
I forgot to ask you all, reflecting on last year, what was your favorite video that we did on our YouTube channel? I was looking at the stats last night. We're almost to 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you. That's amazing.
And we had over 100,000 hours of watch time, or some crazy number. I forgot, but lots of watch time, which is awesome. Our top videos were how to get your horse round, 1, 2, 3. I think roundness is everyone struggles with.
Because it's difficult because you feel that tension and you want to go away from the tension. You want to get light, and it's a difficult moment to push through that barrier and get to the lightness or the softness on the other side.
One of our other top videos was the stretch circle, definitely a hot topic. And yeah, it's been an amazing year. I feel like we've grown a lot. I think we've helped a lot of people. For me, one of my favorite programs that we did this year, it's our third year, I think, doing it, is 30 Days to Round. That's always such a fun program. And we get just amazing stories and
And the
amazing,
results are unbelievable.
it's just
I mean, just
unbelievable.
unbelievable that you guys at home on
Yeah.
your own show so much improvement. It
Yeah.
is inspiring.
And I was also reflecting on that. When I was learning to ride, we didn't have the internet, right? And I would order like DVDs or VHS tapes, and they would come in the mail like 6 weeks later, and then we would watch them over and over and over again. I remember there was this one about a Mustang that like became a dressage horse, and I watched that VHS tape like hundreds of times because I was just so hungry for knowledge and learning. And there was no YouTube, and there were no like Facebook
Right,
lives
there
like
wasn't
this.
any. Yeah, we drove.
Yeah.
We drove to some clinic, and you sat and you watched people.
Right. And it's like, to be in this day and age, as much as we all have a love-hate relationship with technology, it's incredible that we're able to help thousands of riders all over the world and like share our knowledge and share our systems. And the fact that you sit there and you study it and you ask questions and you come back and you learn from it is amazing. Like, it's so cool and it's so remarkable. And I'm really, like you've heard, my mission is dressage for all. And it's about, let's change the sport. Let's make it inclusive. Let's make it accessible to everyone that wants to learn, so that it's not such a big secret. And so that ultimately
everybody gets to enjoy their horse.
Yeah.
It's not a big,
and we can help our
it's not
horses.
the Wizard of Oz with, you know, the wizard behind the curtain.
Right.
Everybody can do this.
Yeah. And so anyways, it's really fun. Let's see. Jenny liked the Christmas video with the lights.
That was really pretty though.
Yeah,
it was.
That was really fun. We'll have to try it again next year because we have we learned it was definitely a learning curve. So because we got some track lighting that's what we put on Mercurio's neck, and that actually lit up the most. But we want to try to put it on his legs as well, so you could see like the articulation of the legs, but we're not really sure how to do that.
And now we need to practice a little bit before we film it.
But Mercurio was such a good boy because we dressed him up in the lights, and then we rode, like when we go from the tack room to the barn, we kind of ride through the barn, and the horses were all like freaking out. Like they were snorting and like spinning in their stalls. And Mercurio was so good. He just like calmly like walked down to the arena. It was quite dark, and he was good. But horses have really good night vision, so it's not
right.
It's not like a big thing to them. But that was really fun. Someone mentioned that they like the drone footage.
Well, that's a different kind of video. That's more of educational.
But that's really good too. We need to do more of that.
But it's just a different style of video.
Yeah.
That one was more fun, the video with the night lights.
Yeah. But it is important,
or the one we did a couple of years ago when you were Santa. No, I was Santa.
Oh, that was
Santa
fun.
And you were the elf.
Yes, we'll have to pull that up. I think I was like Mrs. Santa Claus or something. And you had Herman dressed up like full Santa suit, and he had a big beard, and he was riding.
And you wouldn't even know it was me. I was really dressed up as Santa.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram feed. But it is important. You know, we love our horses, and we're passionate about riding, and we want to have fun, and we want to learn, and we want to do right by our horses. So that's what we are all trying to bring to you, is that combination of education and fun and kindness and love for your horses and all of that. And, I do hope that you all come to the boot camp. It's really important that you take that time to plan out your year ahead. Boot camp starts January 1st, 8 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to be doing a live training each morning from the 1st to the 5th. So it's 5 days. You don't have to be able to ride. Like, it's just about coming, learning, creating a plan, bring some pictures or video of your horse. That's going to help you to create your plan. And part of goal setting is creating goals that are meaningful for you and that also align with your values, like your life values and your values with your horses. And so, what are your values?
Do they need to be attainable goals?
Well, you'll have to come and find out, because it's funny that you asked that, because we're going to set different levels of goals. And they say that you should have different levels of goals. You should have like a big goal that may or may not be like a stretch goal. And then you should have smaller, more attainable goals. So there you go.
Because first I want to be the all-being master of time, space, and dimension.
Here is our boot camp schedule. If you haven't yet, RSVP for the boot camp. Print out this schedule so that you don't miss any of the live trainings. And please invite your friends. It would really help me out if you can invite your friends to come to the boot camp, because the more the merrier. It's always fun if you have friends at your barn that are coming to boot camps, setting
And then
goals.
you get more accountable.
That's true. Okay. What else do I have? Let's answer questions. Okay. Catherine says, when I rode my horse in the double bridle, I must have been halting wrong. He always gets really heavy and fast, especially in the canter. Tips for the double bridle.
I missed the question.
I don't know what the question is. So double bridle is that you want to, it's always important that your horse is good in the snaffle before you put on the double. And then when you put on the double, you're mainly riding from the snaffle bit, and you use the curb bit to reinforce the snaffle, but you don't want to hang on it.
Right.
Because if you hang on it, then your horse is just going to hang on it and ignore it.
It'll lean into it and then get heavy, and none of that is good. So
Yeah.
It just adds a little bit more collection to the deal.
Okay, next question is from Alex. I have a gelding who lacks motivation at the beginning of most rides. What are good exercises to get your horse on the aids and in front of the legs, straight out of the barn or pasture?
I don't know about straight out of the barn, right? There's the warm-up phase. I don't jump out of bed. I don't hit the ground running in the morning.
But what about when you go get your horse out of the pasture, to make your horse like march up next to you and not just drag behind you?
Oh, well, I'll use the lead rope lead rope behind me and get him marching up there, so I'm not pulling him. Yeah.
And you could do like walk, halt, walk, like rein back, groundwork, hand walking, any of that.
Yes.
I mean, but here's the thing. Horses need a warm-up, yes. But we've all seen horses in the pasture. Like, they're flight animals. They go from
0 to 60 right here, right now.
They go from sleeping to galloping across the pasture.
Yes.
So certainly your horse needs a warm-up, but a lot of it's mental. It's not like physical. All right. Here's a question from Osama. How do you improve your feeling with each step of our horses? Like, how are you able to feel the front and the hind legs? What should I feel when his front or his hind leg is on the floor? Well, that's a good question. That's a hard question.
Well, because I'm going through it. I mean, you're aware of where your seat bones are, and they tip and they roll, and you know which leg moved that. I check it in the mirror to make sure I'm right. Let's say I'm doing a leg yield at the walk, because in the walk, it's the hardest, right? Well, it is for me. You too?
Yeah. In the walk is definitely the hardest.
And so when I do leg yields, I'll look in the mirror, and so I'll close my eyes and start using my leg with that hind leg, and then open them and say, oh, yes, I did. I felt it. I'm very happy, because that's so important later when you do the turn on the haunches,
Yeah.
You got to know where the hind legs are. And I do remember having somebody watch it and count it for me, right? They'd say outside hind, outside hind, outside hind, and then I would try and feel where my hips were.
My solution for the front legs, I kind of cheat.
Yeah, you can look at those.
Yeah.
You can look at those.
And then when I count the walk rhythm, I count like the front legs are like 1 and 3, and then 2 and 4 behind. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's true.
And then usually in the walk, if you think about the mechanic of your horse, when they put their leg on the ground, Like, just like you, when you step on your leg, what happens to your hip?
I don't know. What happens to your hip when you step?
When you put weight on your hip, it lifts.
Well, because you go over your foot.
Right.
Yeah.
So when your horse puts weight, when their hind leg lands, their hip lifts up, and that lifts up your seat bone.
Yeah.
When their hind leg comes off the ground, their
It
hip drops.
Yeah.
So if you can feel your hip lifting and dropping, then that's going to help you to feel the hind leg. But it's one of those things, like,
but Carrie is certainly right. It does come with practice and time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You don't want to just obsess over it, because if you obsess over which leg is moving when, you're going to freeze in your body and you're going to have the paralysis analysis problem, which is not going to be helpful. So
that is always bad.
Yes. Okay. Kathleen, I would love some tips for counter canter, especially counter canter walk canter. Our normal walk canter walk is getting more consistent. However, a new test has a counter canter walk canter. And I always get a few strides before the walk. Oh, yes, that is very hard to go counter canter to walk.
What's the pattern?
Probably in second level.
Or
it's also in the FEI 5-year-old test where you're on the rail in counter canter and you have to make a transition to the walk and then pick up the true lead. So I would recommend
clear shoulder forward.
Yes, towards the rail. Shoulder forward towards the rail.
And so I don't think too much about the rail. I make sure my horse is straight with a bend. And if I have to ride an angled line to get the straightness, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because you have to ride forward out straight. You can't, because if you start overturning or whatever, the horse will swap, break, whatever. So you really got to ride forward out of it.
Yeah. And I would keep working on the collection and the engagement in the canter in general. I wouldn't over practice that movement because like the more you practice counter canter to walk, I feel that the worse.
Right. The idea would be just practice more counter canter. So go across the half diagonal, ride the 20-meter circle in counter canter, come a little bit, 10, 15 meters of straight, and then go back to the true lead and just practice counter cantering so the horse can get better balance and a bit stronger in it.
Okay, Sarah, I'd love to get an idea of what order to attempt different dressage moves. Oh, this is another one. So I've been thinking of like all these, I'm so bad. Poor Nicole on my team, because I'm like the dreamer and I come up with all these crazy ideas and then she has to help me implement them. So one of my crazy ideas is that I want to make like a recipe, like a cookbook for riding, so that you can have like, there's like, like different, because everyone's like always like they want to plan for their ride. They want to know what exercises to do when. And so it could be depending on, your horse's temperament and your horse's level. And then there would be a recipe or a plan for your ride. Let me know if you think that's a good idea.
I think it would be like a flow chart. If whatever the question is, yes, go this way. No, go this way.
I'm thinking more like if you are schooling second level and you have a hot horse, then do these exercises. If you're schooling second level and your horse is like lazy, then do this recipe. Like,
yeah, that's true. That is true.
But yeah, it would be kind of like a flow chart.
But no, you've got to make because not every exercise works
for every horse.
For every horse. You've got to,
yeah.
You have to season your recipe for
And we could have like a profile, because I was even thinking about this. Like I teach so many clinics, right? So we could have a profile of like, okay, here's the horse and the rider that I taught. So you could get to know like, okay, the rider's doing this, the horse is doing this. This is the horse's temperament. And then it would be like, okay, here's the recipe. Here's what we did for the warm up. Here's this exercise. Here's this exercise.
Or so if you had 10 hot horses that you taught and 10, lazier ones, and you say, look, these 10, we did all this.
Right. Because that's where like Herman and I, we've worked with so many horses and they're all different. But when you have that experience, then like, okay, these exercises work for this horse, or if you're having trouble with this, here's how to break it down. All right, everyone thinks that's a good idea. All right, so back to our question. This is from Cantor Lakes Farm. Oh my gosh, this is such a long question. Was that what I was reading? No. Okay, we're skipping that one. It's too long. Sarah says, what order to attempt different dressage moves? For example, we've done mainly leg yielding, turn on the forehand, and more recently shoulder in. However, I know my horse has really good training, and I'd like to know how to start leveling up in a progressive way. So, good question. As far as the movements that you mentioned, classically, you teach turn on the forehand first, then you teach leg yield, and then you teach shoulder in.
Yeah.
Because turn on the forehand is all about like controlling the hind end and the shoulder. Leg yield is suppleness, and then shoulder in is collection and engagement. However, once your horse knows shoulder in, you don't get to forget turn on the forehand or leg yield. Like that's what's hard about riding is it's all the basics working the way up. So even with a Grand Prix horse, you're still working on 20-meter circles. You're still working on rhythm and suppleness and the basic moves. You don't just come out and start doing half passes and pirouettes. And I think that's what's challenging about dressage.
Yes.
Can we compare that to a recipe?
But but if you only ride a 20-meter circle and you make really perfect 20-meter circles, when do you teach half pass?
Well, there's certain prerequisites before you teach half pass. So
right. So that question says that the horse has already been trained and it knows shoulder in. So how does she make that decision? I'm thinking do the next movement, and if it falls apart, go back.
So what's the next movement after shoulder?
Renvers, haunches in. If that goes well, half pass.
And then if that doesn't go well,
back to shoulder in.
Yes.
Back to shoulder in, kind of a leg yield. So you move up, right? So if you look at the tests and how they're designed, you go try that thing. If you're doing your shoulder in, and so if I do my shoulder in, and 9 out of 10 of them are good, I try something new.
Yes.
So
that is the hard part.
That is the hard part. That's absolutely. And then to get them to peak at the right time before you go to the show. Right? So there's no easy answer to that. But if your horse has got really good training, like you say, just try something. Right? So it says that you do shoulder in. So if you can do the shoulder in, try haunches in.
Yeah. And then if it falls apart, then you have to go back to the basics. You kind of got to
stay there.
Anyways,
and
good question.
If that works well, then you do the half pass.
Okay, Carrie has a question. Our canter to the right is not as smooth and soft as our canter transition to the left. Is this me out of position more than my horse?
Probably both. The horse has one side, you have one side. It's always nicer if the horse is good on your bad side, but that doesn't always work.
Normally, if you're having trouble with the right lead canter, it's because your horse isn't bending well enough around the right leg.
And if you're right-handed, that means your left hand is your offhand and it's on the outside and you're not getting right leg to left hand to get the bend. I mean, that's my first guess.
Yeah. And you're probably not sitting enough on your right seat bone.
And you're riding too much right rein, not enough left rein.
But that's because we've seen hundreds of riders and horses, and we know what everyone's tendencies are. So anyways, we're going to go eat some soup. Please come to boot camp. It starts January 1st. Marianne, can you access the boot camp on the app? Yes, if you have Amelia's Dressage Academy, we will put the replays on the app. But the live trainings, like if you're going to come live, which please come live because we have lots of prizes. We have hats. We have these awesome calendars, which these calendars are for our annual Stride students, and they're so cool. Some of you may have already gotten these calendars, but basically they have like a picture for every month what we're working on in strides. And then they have these little circles that you can mark: riding, groundwork, and fitness. So my challenge is we're going to challenge everyone to have a streak where you do something every single day for your riding. You either do riding, groundwork, or fitness.
Or all three.
We should have put learning on there. We should have put like studying or watching YouTube. Oh, that was dumb. I'm feeling sad. But anyways,
next year
we want you to have a streak. You could add in learning. That would be a good circle you could add in. So we want to have a streak where you do something for your riding every single day in 2025. Someone was telling me, have you heard about the Seinfeld streak? He's like a comedian.
He is a comedian.
Have you heard about that?
No, I don't know about the Seinfeld streak, but
So,
he was a comedian or is or something.
Apparently his thing was that he just wrote a joke every single day. Like it was just a volume thing. Like he wrote a new joke every single day and then he tried it out and then he picked the best jokes that worked the best. And that is like part of riding is just getting out there and doing it every single day. And
for sure,
it's not going to be perfect. And like, I mean, I'm not saying to go out there and just ride crap, but a huge part of riding is the consistency of it, is going to the barn and doing, even if it's just your groundwork or,
and some days are just better than others.
Yeah.
But you do it anyway.
Yeah. So yes, that is our challenge. We're going to have a streak. Are you going to participate in the streak? I have my calendar up there. We could put one up there for you.
Yes, dear.
2025 streak, like Seinfeld. All right. We'll see you on New Year's Day. Happy New Year. We'll see you